Are we good to go? Shall we start the session? I hope everybody is online.
Yes.
Yes, okay. Greetings to everybody from around the world, and welcome to this session of Being Heartful Every Day. My name is Prasanna Krishna. I've been an Abhyasi for about 34 years now, currently residing at Bangalore. And I will be the host to facilitate today's session, which is peace. The topic for today is peace. And the activity which you would be performing is the antidote to aggression and unfriendliness. That is the activity you'll be taking up tomorrow. So let's begin. This is the evening session. To start off the session, I think I would request everybody to share two things with your known people who are not yet started practice of heartfulness. One is share the master classes which Daji has conducted to introduce heartfulness to newcomers, and also share this link, Being Heartful Every Day, to our associates who are already practicing heartfulness. Share it with your friends and family. The more we get, the better it is. So this is a request. Okay. Let's move on to this topic of reading today. We are reading The Art of Gratitude. Darji continues his series of everyday living, introducing the seventh universal principle of user's guide, which is to let go of revenge, resentment, and retaliation for any wrongs done, and instead develop the art of gratitude, which includes both being grateful and giving thanks. This seventh principle allows us to transcend reactive negative thinking when things don't go our way. As we evolve, it becomes a fantastic tool to help us accept and trust in life, whatever it brings, so that we can soar into higher and higher states of consciousness. Okay, these are the five elements of the practice that you referred to. We are specifically looking at principle 7. If you're feeling wronged by anyone, do not wish for revenge. Instead, think this comes from God and be grateful. Are we wired for revenge? Yes and no. Most of you will know Roald Dahl's book for children, The Tales of Mahabharata and Grimm's fairy tales. They are beloved by children and adults alike around the world. Yet they are tales filled with sweet revenge, often based on moral judgment. The bad guy always gets their just deserts in the end. But along the way, many people suffer because of revenge. Think of what happens to greedy, selfish children in Charlie and Chocolate Factory. They're all punished in a very twisted and fanatical ways. Only Charlie, who is generous and pure, is lauded. A cursory glance at popular literature and media reveals that revenge in general admired, glorified, and justified. In fact, revenge is a leading theme of most movies and fiction. In every Marvel film, good family triumphs over evil, and there's always an element of retaliation in the final outcome. In fact, there is a fine line between revenge and upholding the Dharma and all its intentions. Is retaliation done for the greater good, or is it done to get back at someone? Stories of revenge are plenty in our fables, mythology, and legends. Looking at the scheming between the queen and the Greek gods, Hera and her stepdaughter, the goddess of Aphrodite, for example, or the story of Mahabharata, where Draupadi's brother Drishtadyumna takes revenge and beheads Drona. A simple insult leads to a loss of life. That in turn creates a very bitter heart in Ashwatthama, who wants revenge, who wants to avenge the death of his father. Revenge leads to more vengeance, and so it multiplies. We also see how Bhishma invites his death as a result of the revengeful actions coming from his previous life, and how Shikandi was born to destroy him. It goes on and on. How will these revengeful acts end? Revenge has been an expression of our competitive interaction since time immemorial, and we can see its origin in the competitive instincts found in most animal populations. In ecology, we see competition for food, for mates, for territory. In humans, revenge is associated with animalistic nature, with the lower three chakras of the human system, but it becomes more complicated when that is instinctual programming is enlarged with emotions in the human heart. Psychologically, we feel threatened, just as a alpha male lion does in defending his position in the pride for challenging male line. But we also add the piece of competition to situations that are not life-threatening, to everyday affairs in the family, with friends and at work. When we take revenge on the person and see our opponent, we also have to deal with the conscious. Revenge is a way of life in most tribal cultures, showing up blood feuds and clan wars. And willingness and unwillingness to seek revenge is usually seen as cowardice or weakness. Unfortunately, it is also the base of behavior of the so-called developed civilizations. It is a philosophy of an eye to eye and a tooth for a tooth, and it forms the most and it forms most people's understanding of the law of karma. The idea that revenge is sweet has been challenged in several modern psychological studies, where it was found that most people who act out of revenge end up regretting the act, and which then leads to guilt and shame. There are others who don't retaliate due to fear of reprisal. They harbor resentment in their heart, and that turns to bitterness and poisons them into slow retaliation, like we often see in Agatha Christie murder mysteries. Both these categories get consumed in the emotions of anger spectrum. There is a third category of people who, subjected to wrongdoings, feel sad, humiliated, and deprived of honor and dignity. This leads to a feeling of shame, grief, and depression. They feel victimized and perpetually trapped in the emotions of fear and self-pity spectrum. Revenge is one of those behavioral patterns that can evoke the entire spectrum of negative emotions, creating a downward spiral of negative energy. It is this insight that led Babuji to develop Principle 7, which he hoped would change us by transforming our underlying belief system. He shows us that we don't need to be hardwired for revenge. But for that to happen, we need to rise above competitive animalistic tendencies. And for that, we need to awaken and master the higher chakras, starting with the heart chakra, taking it to a more elevated level of consciousness, of generosity of heart, and oneness and love for all. This progressive elevation is known as the spiritual journey, the yatra, and is described in a series of articles, The March to Freedom. I think let's stop this right now, stop the reading right now. Let's introspect on what we have read, think it over for a couple of minutes, and then at 9 p.m. sharp, let's all get into the universal prayer. So for the next couple of minutes, let's spend time on introspection and trying to understand what we have read so far. At 9 o'clock, we'll start the universal prayer. So spend some time on the introspection now. It's time for the universal prayer. Basically, what we do in a universal prayer is, I'll read out the text. We have to meditate on the meaning of this and very prayerfully submit to Master that, yes, submit to Master that all brothers and sisters are being filled with love and devotion, and real faith is growing stronger in them. I'll repeat that. We sit with an attitude of prayer, praying that all brothers and sisters are being filled with love and devotion, and real faith is growing stronger in them. सभी भाई बहनें प्रेम और भक्ति से भर रहे हैं, और उनमें सच्ची श्रद्धा दृढ़ होती जा रही है. I'll read it again in this. सभी भाई बहन प्रेम और भक्ति से भर रहे हैं, और उनमें सच्ची श्रद्धा दृढ़ होती जा रही है. Let's prayerfully close our eyes and pray to the Master that this may become a reality. If you get any thoughts during that time, please do not worry about them. Let the prayer continue at a very subconscious level for, let's pray for about 15 minutes. It's important to be in a very prayerful attitude. The attitude is important, not so much the word. We can maintain this prayerful attitude and meditate on the essence of this prayer. You can gently open your eyes. Try to retain this prayerful condition as long as you can. And if you can retain it till your bedtime prayer today and reflect on what you have done during the day, it will be very helpful. So just a gentle reminder that all of us, before going to bed, will say the bedtime prayer, meditate on the meaning, and also reflect on what went well and what were the unintentional mistakes we committed, and beg for forgiveness with a resolution that we will not repeat it again. So with that, let's disperse. Thank you for participating. See you tomorrow at 6 a.m. Thank you.